Hi, welcome back to Marilyn Storytime here at LeUyen Library. I hope you're tuning in and expecting a great story today because that's just what we have for you. I love to share my stories with you and I hope you'll come into the library and check out some of your own. So today's story is about a piece of cake. Maybe when you've had a birthday party, you like to eat cake. Sometimes you maybe eat several pieces. Well, the story today, you'll be surprised at what happens. And it's a story about Bird and Mouse because they were best friends. So it goes like this. Mouse and Bird were very best of friends, and it just so happened it was Bird's birthday today. So Mouse wanted to go bake a cake. Mouse went to his pantry, got a bowl and a spoon, and started putting ingredients into the bowl. Mixed in the eggs and some nuts and some milk and all the things that you need for the ingredients for a cake. Stirred it and got it ready, and it took quite a few hours to bake that cake. Mouse finally had a cake. He put it on a platter and was going to carry it to Bird's house across the woods. Well, as he was walking along carrying his cake, which looked very delicious by the way, he saw his friend Chicken, and Chicken said, "Bark, bark, 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 what a lovely looking cake that looks like. Ooh, could I have a piece?" And Mouse got to thinking, well, this is a birthday cake for Bird, but Chicken is my friend, and Mouse was very kind. So he said, I guess I could give you a slice of cake. And could you give me something for it? And he says, oh, here, I'll give you a cork. Well, what is Mouse going to do with a cork? Thought Mouse. Or what's Bird going to do with the cork? Well, he said, oh, well, I'll take it and give it to Bird anyway. Maybe he'll like it for a present. So he took the cork, and Chicken took the cake accordingly. Well, Mouse went on her way, and she went a little farther, and she saw her friend Squirrel. And Squirrel said, oh, goodness gracious, that looks really yummy. Who's that cake for? And Mouse said, well, it's for my friend Bird down the road. Oh, you don't think you could give me a piece, could you? And Mouse thought a little bit and said, well, I guess I could give you a piece. And Squirrel said, well, I'll trade you this long piece of wire. Mouse thought, I don't know what I'll do with a piece of wire, but okay, maybe Bird would like that for a present. Well, I'll take it to him. So that's what they did. Well, he still had plenty of cake left, and he thought, I'll just start taking this over to Bird's house, and Bird will still have some cake. But along the way, he met Bear, his friend, and Bear said, oh, yummy, that cake looks delicious. Ooh, could I have a piece? Mouse thought, well, I guess Bird wouldn't mind if I share a little cake with you. He said, I guess I could. And Bear said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you this nice butterfly net, and you can have that. He said, well, okay. But Mouse was thinking all along, I don't know what Bird's going to do with a net. But he said, okay. So he gave a piece to Bear. And he walked along. He didn't have much cake left, and he walked along until he met his friend Cow, and Cow, whoa, wow, what you got there? Ooh, that looks like a delicious cake. Could I have a piece? Now, Cow was sitting all around with all sorts of bottles of milk, and of course, Mouse thought that Cow would trade some milk, but no, Cow traded a fly swatter for that piece of cake, and Mouse thought, well, I don't know what we're going to do with a fly swatter, but maybe Bird would like a fly swatter. So he took the present. He put everything into that net and he carried it over to Bird's house. But the problem was, by this time, there was no cake left. He got to Bird's house and he said, Bird, I wanted to come wish you a happy birthday. I baked a cake with all the ingredients out of my pantry and I don't have any more left, or I'd bake you another cake, but all of our friends wanted a piece, and I just thought we should share. And Bird said, oh, no problem. These are nice things. Let's see what you got there. And he said, well, I have a wire, a cork, a fly swatter. Oh, and you've got a net? Awesome. He said, those are the best gifts ever. He said, I'll tell you what, why don't we go back to your house and see if we can't get enough stuff, and we'll try to bake another cake. And Mouse said, well, I don't have anything else in my pantry, but we can go look around. So they walked together back through the woods. And on the way back, of course, they saw Cow again. And Cow said, moo, I've got a problem here. I was trying to get this soap out of my bottle, and I lost the top to it. Oh, what am I going to do? I can't just let that soap sit there open. And Bird and Mouse looked at each other and they said, you know what? We have something that we can give you, but would you give us some of that milk? Then we could help make another cake for Bird. And they said, okay, I'll give you some milk, but what are you going to give me? He said, here, I've got this nice wire. Cow said, what am I going to do with a wire? Well, Mouse was really smart. He took the wire and bent it into a little loop, and they could dip it into a cow's soap bottle. And they got it out and blew bubbles. And Cow was so happy. He'd never blown bubbles before. So they went along the way. So now they had milk. And then they went along, and again they met Bear. Bear was sitting there with lots and lots of honey because he had gotten it out of the beehive, but he was busy swatting all the bees. The bees were swarming all around him. And he said, woo, I wish somebody could help me with these bees. They're about to drive me crazy. And Mouse and Bird looked at each other and said, we have just what you need. All we need is some honey from you for our cake. He said, okay, I can give you some honey. He said, well, what am I going to get? And he said, here, I have a cork from a bottle. He said, what am I going to do with the cork? He said, put the cork into the little hole in the bee's nest, and then the bees won't be able to get out and bother you anymore. And Bear said, what a terrific idea. That is great. So that's what they did. So now they had milk and honey, and they put it in the net that they were carrying. Well, they walked along a little farther, and of course they ran into Squirrel. Squirrel was still gathering nuts for the winter, and Squirrel said, oh no, I can't get these nuts up into the tree. What am I going to do? I have so many of them. And Bird and Mouse looked at each other and said, we have just the thing for you. He said, you do? He said, yes, if you'll trade us some nuts, we'll give you this awesome fly swatter. Squirrel said, a fly swatter? What on earth would I ever do with a fly swatter? Well, Mouse took it on the ground, and he propped a little rock under it, and he put the nuts on it, and he made it into a catapult. And those nuts went flying up into the hole in the tree. And Squirrel said, that is perfect. So he gave him some nuts for the cake. Well, they were just about finished walking down the trail when they met Chicken. And Chicken said, ah! I'm so sad I dropped that piece of cake on the ground, and I sure could use another piece of cake. And Mouse and Bird said, well, we're trying to bake another cake. I'll tell you what, if you'll share 2 eggs with us, we'll have enough to bake another cake, and we'll give you an invitation to the party. Oh, Chicken said, that'd be great. So Chicken gave them some eggs, and they went on their way, and they carried everything in their little net behind them. When they got to Mouse's house, they baked the cake. They worked hard and made a new cake, mixing up all the ingredients that they had gathered. And sure enough, they had plenty of cake for everybody. And in the meantime, Chicken had told everybody that there was going to be a big birthday party at Bird's house. So they went back to Bird's house, and sure enough, everybody was there waiting for the big birthday celebration. They sang happy birthday to Bird, and everybody was happy with all the things that they had had. And in the meantime, Mouse had gone and picked some flowers and put them in the net for his friend Bird. And they all had very fun at the time at the party, and they all were happy with all their gifts. And that's the end of the story called The Piece of Cake. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of one of those cumulative stories that things go back and forth, and you have to remember all those things. It's a little tricky when you're not reading it, but it's kind of fun. And you can kind of imagine things that you get from people. Sometimes it doesn't look like a gift that you would use, but maybe you could recycle it and make it into something else. That's kind of what they did. So come back and visit us again next week. Come see us at the library. And since it's a school week, y'all have a great week at school too. Bye-bye.